Today I'm going to walk through the process we used to build this curved landscape wall. We've been completely redoing our front yard. We designed and built the Ipe wood deck you can see behind me. We removed all of the old cracked concrete and replaced it with pavers. And our final hardscape element is this masonry wall. We decided to add a low wall to our landscape design for a few reasons. First, we wanted to create more of a room-like atmosphere for when we're sitting up on our deck. Second, it adds another focal point when viewing the house from the street. And finally, it works with the natural elevation change in the yard and creates multiple planting areas for us to work with. We're really happy with how it turned out. So with that, let me walk you through the build step by step. We began this project by using 20-foot plastic bender board as a form to determine the size, shape, and location for our wall. The cinder blocks that we're using to build the wall structure are 8 inches wide. So we set the concrete footing at 10 inches and installed temporary 2x4 blocking to maintain the design. The ground on the left side of the footing was much higher than the right side, so we had to do a lot of digging to make sure the form was level. Once we determined the final placement, we drove wooden stakes into the ground and screwed them into the plastic bender board. Because we are dry stacking the cinder blocks, meaning there will be no mortar joints between the blocks, the concrete footing had to be perfectly level. To ensure we got this right, we used a transit on a tripod throughout the build process to check our work. And we nailed it. It's exactly level, side to side, and back to front. After digging out the footing to approximately 18 inches deep, we installed a triangular cage of 1/2 inch rebar to reinforce the concrete. We also added several 2-inch pipes running perpendicular to the footing to allow for water seepage and to use as conduits for irrigation pipe. Now it's time for concrete. We picked up a yard of ready mixed concrete at the local rockery and poured the footing using a wheelbarrow. Once the concrete began to set up, we inserted vertical rebar that was spaced to fit within the cinder block holes. The following day, we stripped off the forms and started stacking blocks. We laid 3 overlapping courses of 8-inch block and filled the holes with concrete, locking the structure to the footing. Once the concrete was set, we installed low voltage wire into the grooves that we chipped out on top of the 3rd row of blocks. We drilled holes into the 4-inch half blocks for the wiring and then glued the half blocks onto the top course using construction adhesive. The overall height of the wall at this point was 28 inches. Now that the wall structure was complete, we brought back the stucco contractor that recently worked on the front of our house. He applied a thick layer of waterproofing sealant directly to the cinder blocks, 2 layers of acrylic on top of the sealant, and then the final colored smooth coat. We painted the low voltage lights the same color as the wall, wired them together, and screwed them to the top surface. Each one of the LED lights is only 1/2 watt because we didn't want them to be too bright. We were lucky to find a neutral top cap material made of natural limestone. We placed the 12 by 24 inch capstones on top of the wall, overlaying them to determine the cut locations. We made sure the spacing was such that the cut stones would all be the same size. On a curved wall, this was actually trickier than it sounds. Once we had the proper placement, each block was scribed with a pencil using the overlapping stone as a guide, and then cut on a wet saw. The 2 stones at each end of the wall needed to be chiseled and thermally treated to replicate the natural stone edge. It's pretty cool how we did this. There's a link to that video below if you want to check it out. Finally, we glued the cut capstones to the wall and the project was complete. We're super happy how it turned out and are excited to start planting. If you have any questions on this project, please drop a comment below, and thanks so much for watching.